All right, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Doug Sandler, along with the king of building his best life, helping us all build our best lives, Mr. John Browning. Welcome back to the podcast, John.
All right, good to be here.
Well, today is the episode topic that I have been waiting for in this series of recordings that we are doing today, because this is the one that's most near and dear to me because I own a business, a small business. I own it, and I've owned businesses for the last 30 years, and I never really had a plan to, I mean, maybe there's a time when I'm going to retire, but I never really thought about it. So today's topic, reasons small business owners don't plan to retire and why they should. That's the part. That's the part in this episode that I'm gonna test you a little bit, because I'm like, do
Okay.
I want to retire? Do I have to retire? Do I want to have the choice? I want to have the choice. I always want the choice to be
Choice.
mine, not my businesses. So let's talk about today's topic. What do we want to know about, other than I'm really very attached to my business and I can't see myself just leaving it.
Well, the thing is about owning your own business, right? I mean, I've owned several, and this one being sort of my favorite because it's everything that I've always wanted to do. Not to be too cliche, but I
Yep. Yep.
I really enjoy it. And you build it, and it's blood, sweat, and tears. And you know this, right?
Yeah.
You've done
Yeah.
it. And those early days, and it's not just days, it's years
Yeah.
where you are struggling.
Oh, I remember those first few years not taking a paycheck, paying my team, but not making any money, and just taking money out of savings in order to pay my bills. Those were the first few years of those are probably the first few years of everybody running a business.
Yes, right. And God forbid something happen,
Yeah.
right?
So
I
the
mean,
emotional attachment to the business is a significant thing for me. It's like, oh, well, what am I going to do with my business? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to give it to somebody else? My kids don't want it. This isn't their
yeah. And
profession. So
do
for
you,
me, it's
do you really want to give away your baby?
no.
Right? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you don't
I
want
like this as much as my kids. Maybe so. Don't tell them I said that. They listen. They probably listened to this episode. So
to.
I don't know. Yeah, it is the emotional attachment. That is a difficult thing for me to get beyond. But why should I uh you know uh, why should I sell my business? I like it. I'm emotionally attached to it. Is there any reason why I need to leave it?
So this goes back to our last episode where we talked about you may not feel the same way you feel today,
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now,
That's
15
true.
years from now, 20 years from now, and getting up, doing all the work that needs to be done on it. Even if you there's things you can do to make it sort of self-sustainable so you're still
Right.
there,
Of course.
but you're also building an asset. All right. I mean, the best small businesses are ones that you can sell. And a lot of small business, just talked to a gentleman this week who retired, put everything into his small business because he always wanted to be an entrepreneur, including his 401k, his IRA, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So he is not diversified.
Yeah, he's one dimensional. Listen
He's
back
one
to
dimensional,
two
right?
episodes ago.
Yeah. So he's like, I'll, when I absolutely have to, I'll sell it and I'll retire on the
Oh
proceeds.
my
So
gosh.
he's really, this
All
is the
in.
definition of not being diversified,
Yeah.
right? And putting all the money into the business and all that. And I get that, by the way. I think most small business owners, when we started, it's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just poured everything we had
But he
into
was
it.
closer to retirement. So how do you get somebody out of that scenario? Gosh, that would be so scary for me, not given the opportunity to, I'd have to stay in the business, or hoping somebody's going to pay what I think my business is worth, not actually what, current standards tell me that the business is worth.
Yeah, that's right. That's really the issue because the other thing that can happen is anytime if the business is very dependent on you, which it always is in the
Hmm.
early years, something happens to you, an accident, COVID, some sort of sickness, anything, what happens? Then your entire asset that you had planned on,
Hmm.
it's not there anymore, or it's certainly not worth as much. And you're putting a lot of burden on maybe some of those around you or helping you in the business to try and save it. And sometimes it's just not savable.
All
So
right.
that's another reason
So
why.
Emotional attachment, that's a that is a tough thing to get out of, but I understand that there is a this component that you need, and there's some complexity to that component as well. Okay, so give me the next reason small business owners don't plan to retire, but maybe they should.
And it goes right into the last one, right? The emotional attachment. But it becomes your identity. You're the podcast guy. You're
Mm,
really good at it, and you live, eat, and breathe it. It becomes who you are. And if I'm not doing that, and this happens whether or not you're a small business owner or
yeah,
not,
of course.
a lot of times you begin to identify with, I was portfolio manager at Morgan Stanley. That made me feel good. I could tell everybody that, and it was great. It became part of who I was. And when you lose that, or you just decide to step away from that, you lose a piece of yourself and who you are. And that's why it's one of the reasons that small businesses don't plan to retire. They're like, I'm always going to do this. They're absolutely convinced, always going to do it. Like you, right? I never want to retire. You might not want to retire. We may have to at least slow down.
But I like what you say. You kind of opened my eyes to the idea of, well, that's how I feel right now. But how do I know that's how I'm going to feel, in 10 years? I love fly fishing and I can't get enough fly fishing until I go on the river that's got boulders so big that it frightens me to go in the river. I would have jumped in that river, 20 years ago without any hesitation. Today, I'm
Right.
like, no, there goes a knee if I do that. That's
Yeah.
surgery on the other side of getting in that river.
Right. Yeah.
So things do change.
Yeah. That's very true. So that is so, and that's it. So your identity and purpose, and then probably the next big one is financial concerns. They don't think about it because they say, I've got everything tied up. How would I monetize it so that I could retire? Um, how do I plan for that? And most of small businesses, and I'm going to say most because I think it's true, it's most, don't have a retirement plan. It is the business, and if you can't sell it, or that maybe they have a small IRA, or they haven't, or maybe they've even gone so far as to talk to somebody like me and they put together a SEP or a simple or even a 401k or something like that, but it's not near what the bulk of their assets
Right.
are, which is that business. So you talk about, if I give up the only thing that I have known to generate income for myself, how's that work? Like, I don't know how to do that. I know how to be a great podcast production host. I know how to do that all day long. I'm not sure I know how to make my investments work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
I understand that. I think sometimes it's hard to separate us. You talk about go back to the other one for just a second, identity and purpose. Sometimes it's hard to separate what you do from your business. And so you identify everything that you got going on in your life with your business. When you step out of that, you become a whole, you've never done this before. So the financial concerns of understanding where my investments are going, where I'm pulling money from, all of that stuff, especially in those first few years, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, or maybe that was last episode. It's like you got a lot more free time. There's a lot more opportunity for you to spend money in retirement than if you're sitting in front of your computer working all day, doing your thing. The other
yeah,
thing that's interesting is I know one of the things you have on this list is that um, you know, sacrificing your life for the sake of your business does not build your best life. And oftentimes we don't even consider that. We're so caught up in the business being us that we don't remember that our business is we are not our business. We own our business. Don't let it control us. We need to control our business. So um part of that is just sacrificing your life to run your business is not a way to build your best life in retirement. I don't think, at least, even though I love doing what I do, it's just not a good way to do it.
right. And I'm preaching to myself here too. I mean, it's
Well, you
just
love doing
natural.
what you do, right? I mean, you don't you love
Love it.
doing what you do?
Absolutely.
And
I
and
absolutely love it. Can't imagine retiring. I really
right,
can't.
right. Today, but if you follow your own philosophy, which is that's how you feel today, but what it's going to happen when your youngest gets married and has a child, and now you have these six kids, and your six kids do you have any grandkids yet?
Oh yeah, I got three of them.
All right, so you got three grandkids. What's going to happen when you have 8 or 9 or 10 grandkids? Are you going to want to identify yourself with your business, or won't you want to identify yourself more as a family, as that family guy that has eight or
Yeah.
nine or 10 grandkids?
Yep. Grandpa. Yeah.
Right. I love that. I love that idea. My kids aren't quite to the stage where I don't have any grandkids yet, but I'm excited for the opportunity to have them so that they can travel here and come hang out at my pool and enjoy the California weather here.
That's right. Yep. Exactly.
All right, what else do we need to consider as a business owner that we don't necessarily consider as a plan in our retirement that we really should be?
So, I mean, kind of to wrap it up here, we've talked about sort of the why small business owners don't plan for retirement typically. And so, what do you do about it? And something that many of us know inherently, but sometimes have trouble doing is separate it. Separate your business life from your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Separate your financial business from your personal financial business and pay yourself first.
Mm.
It may seem like the bills and everything else, and again, I know this because I've lived this multiple times, including right now. It seems like I got to pay for that marketing cost. I got to pay for that.
Right.
Or my business, my baby is going to go away, but pay yourself first. And when you pay yourself, treat it like you would if you were working for an organization. Part of that money is going to go to your retirement savings. So you don't just have your business is an asset, hopefully, and you can sell it and use the proceeds for that. But also remember that when you sell a business, it's not tax protected. So all that money is going to come to you, and depending on how you structure that deal, it's going to be taxable. And the other part that I'll just mention at the end too, is a lot of small business owners just assume that their family will want it.
Right.
I know in my case, it's definitely nobody wants what I do, right? So I have to have a plan for what's going to happen with that so that I can monetize it at some point. And again, don't have any plans for that anytime in the next 15, 20 years, but at some point, it's just going to make sense, right?
Well, part of building your best life is to build it with in mind with family and those that are close to you. And while I love my clients, you probably would put your clients at maybe not at the same level as your family when it comes to what do you plan on doing in retirement. I would love to think that all of my clients want to come to my home and hang out with me and go to the beach and enjoy. But I think it's going to be a better opportunity for my family to want to do that. And striking that good work-life balance. I think that was one of the things that you had on your list, and I think that is an essential component for building your best life. The older that you get, the closer to retirement that you get, the more that you probably want to think about slowing down a little bit, or don't. I mean, part of it is, hey, if part of your best building your best life is still owning your business, but taking more of a off hands role, maybe just have a conversation with somebody to figure out how to make that what your plan is rather than you have to work. It's I want to work, so I'm going to do this, but not because you have to, because you want to.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, again, plan for it. It's like, a small business owner's work-life balance is different than somebody who's on a salary work-life balance because we go on vacation, right? But we have to plan our vacation so that, listen, early in the morning, I'm going to get up a little bit earlier than everybody else and get the essentials done.
I don't
And
know.
then in the evening or maybe one time in the middle of the day, I have to
If
I can't
if
completely unplug if you're a true, really small business.
if
And
you've ever owned your own business, and John, I'm sure you can attest to this, is that the week that you decide that you're going away, about 3 or 4 days before you go away, all of the things start to happen that you're like, no, this has to wait until I get back, but it can't wait. So you end up taking those things with you on vacation. You don't want that in retirement. I know you don't. You want to spend time, you want to spend your own time in retirement doing your own thing and not worried about what's going on back at the office. But yeah, normally most of my customer service issues, technical issues, sales things come up
always come
right
up.
right I'm about to go away. They
Right.
do. We do what we can. All right.
Yeah.
Any final words on this? How do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more information about even as a business owner, how to plan their best life in retirement and things that they should be thinking about? What should they do? How do they get to you?
Yeah, especially if you're a small business owner. Spend a little time. I'm happy to chat with you. I'm not gonna try and sell you anything. It's just not the way I really work. But if something that I say and explain to you makes it obvious that, hey, I need to get a little bit of help with this, then maybe I can help you with that. Or maybe I just give you some ideas.
Mm.
And you can reach me at guardianrockwealth.com or text the word life to 321-421-5213. Another thing I'll talk to you about is, you want to have a business where you're not a solopreneur and you want to have employees, treat them right so they stick around, have a retirement plan for them. And guess what? You can do some really cool stuff with your retirement as a small business owner that you would not be able to do in a salary type of position. So
All right.
opportunities, just have to look for them and know they're there.
Food for thought. Looking for the opportunity as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. I know you're always looking for opportunity. Get the opportunity directly from John. He'll explain. Text life to 321-421-5213. All right, John. Thanks for sharing again another week. See you again next week.
All right. We'll see you next week.